Okay, welcome to Artcast, our first podcast about news in Port Saint John and beyond. So today we have Brandy, hello, and Richard. It's you. So Richard is a new gallery coordinator that joined us last year and will join us for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can commit to that.
Sure. And Brandy is one of our volunteers, and we just started to have a very good conversation, and she was really excited of being there, I think, but she didn't know exactly what was the contract.
I don't know what I agreed to.
Nobody knows what we're getting into yet.
Yeah,
so
well, that's the thing, like nobody knows. So today for you, we have a couple local news for Saint John and Peace Region, and then we'll go a little bit further to see what's going on in the world. So I'd like to start with you, Brandy. Oh yeah, disclaimer. This podcast is recorded because we don't have internet. That was the news this morning when I came here. We don't have internet, so we can stream today. But usually we'll be live. You'll be able to comment on the chat. We'll be able to comment back, fight back. So this one will be recorded, which is actually good for us because it takes some stress out of the shoulders.
Practice is nice.
Yeah, practice is nice. Oh boy, I did practice. And but the next one, so next month, will be should be live. Brandy.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what do you have? What is happening locally?
Okay, so locally, we obviously have the she said, he said, she said gallery show. And I mean, you can see a piece of one of the paintings behind Richard, but it got cut out. Featuring artists, and I apologize, I'm not good with names, but Meek Bergeron, Mike Volker, and Sandy Trout.
I believe that is right.
Okay, I hope so. And that is the third one since the pandemic, having the in-person and online option, which is really good. I'm pretty sure it's the third.
Fourth. So I think fourth. I think.
Might be the fourth, yeah.
Might be the fourth.
Okay, three or four.
It's my third.
Yeah,
So
so it's definitely the fourth.
Yeah, well, I really like that one. I like Sandy Trout's textured landscapes. Of course, I like Mike Volker's, but Meep is doing, unfortunately you can't see it, but there's one right there. She's trying out eco prints.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, and it's not something that I knew existed beforehand either, but it's different, it's strange, it's still very painterly, but those are actually the plants from her property and around town and stuff like that. And it's strange in that, like, Sandy and Mike's work is so bright and saturated and colorful, and Meep's stuff from the show is a lot more desaturated, but it's all the same colors throughout, which is really interesting. It kind of makes it still fit all together, and just with like so much different texture, and it's like super cool, and it's nice to kind of have it break up all of the bright colors between everything.
Okay.
So,
I haven't actually tried that technique. Like, I've painted on leaves and stamped them, but that's like you put it on fabric and it just, the colors of the leaf actually seep into it. And I was like, oh my goodness.
It's strange. I read it through the description and I still don't understand how it's done, but it's fascinating. And then both Mike and Sandy are more traditionally painterly kind of styles. Mike's are, I believe, almost all oils with a little bit of lino cut, and then Sandy's are all acrylics. People around town here are especially, I think, familiar with Mike and Sandy stuff. And then Sandy also having been a teacher here for many, many years and is recently retired, I believe. But yeah, they've had lots of stuff in the gallery for a while here too.
Next
Of mine? Okay. In Village, so the Peace region, they are starting to plan their annual miniature show and sale. So that's their major fundraiser for the year. They had it last year, and with COVID they had to adjust, but they're doing the same thing and it worked out. You don't have to be a member of the art club in Village to participate, but everything has to be within 12 by 12 inches. It has to be miniature, of course. And it's just an opportunity to raise money, but artists get 70% of everything that's sold too. So it's a good way for artists to get their artworks out there. Have you either of you heard of that? No?
No. I'm too new to the area to really know anything outside of the cultural center itself, so it's great to actually to not only be a part of this, but be able to have something like this out there. Like, I hope people that are also new to town, which seem to be a lot, kind of come check out the podcast, because like hopefully we can kind of share a lot of stuff that otherwise we wouldn't know about.
Well, I was kind of mad when you sent me the list of topics that you had, because I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
It's like I didn't know about any of this.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all the news on the surroundings. Where
you're showing us up already?
See, I'm a researcher. I scoured the internet.
Well, that's fantastic.
It's their 29th annual, so it's been long running. And yeah, if people, and maybe someone from Beaver Lodge is watching, check out their Facebook, because the link for how to enter is up on there. So it's pretty sweet.
Awesome.
Third topic?
Yeah,
keep on.
All right. And in Grand Prairie, so very close to Beaver Lodge, they are having a free presentation by Marlena Wyman, who is a visual artist. It's on the 20th of January, starting at 11:30 a.m. So they're teaming up with Grand Prairie Regional College, the arts department, and it's also on the Art Gallery of Grand Prairie's Facebook to register. But Marlena she kind of, with her paintings, investigates memory and likes to highlight women's stories through art. So that's, a lot of her work is featured on the traveling exhibit Real Women. So I'm not sure what that talk will be about, but I'm sure she'll have great things to say.
Well, I think like it's kind of one of like the positives right now is like a lot of content that people wouldn't normally get if they were, not in Grand Prairie, or kind of being made aware of a lot of stuff, and shows being online and stuff like that. So there's a lot more out there to check out and see right now.
Yeah, I think anyone can register, and because you just watch it online, no problem.
Random question though, for someone new to town like me, or new to the area, do you guys consider Beaver Lodge, Grand Prairie, Dawson, yes, there are other towns, and some of them are even Alberta, but they're all fairly kind of like the local piece areas, almost like a big city in itself. It seems like it's still a part of the same community, even though they're further away. Is that? Oh yeah. You feel that's accurate?
I mean, as a traveling volleyball player, I practice in Dawson Creek, so it's whatever, no problem.
Yeah,
and Grand Prairie, 3 hours, that's nothing. We drove to Kamloops, we drove to Calgary.
Oh yeah. So really, because I'm from Calgary, and I was used to spending an hour just to drive to work from where I lived north of the city to downtown. So to me, that 2.5 hours, 3 hours isn't a huge deal either. So it's interesting to see that it's just different lifestyles and different communities, how they kind of still establish themselves fairly large. It's really interesting, and hopefully we can spend a lot more time traveling around soon and going to Grand Prairie. So I definitely want to go check out the gallery there.
Yeah,
really
me too.
Yeah.
All right, that's my 3 local.
Well, I think that kind of covers a lot of what I was going to kind of talk about too, with mostly the She Said, He Said, She Said show, which I should mention is on at the gallery until horrible dead space. This is why practice is good, but I can't find it. Sorry, guys.
So on my end, I wanted to talk about something that the city is doing, or we're supposed to do, which is an online contest for winter picture, and they have the idea of having a couple themes per day, and you have to submit your picture with the hashtag City for Saint John or something like that. So I didn't read that correctly, so I sent my picture as soon as they put that on Facebook or Instagram, I can't remember. So they told me, oh, by the way, no, it's not before January 11th, and by the way, we'll have theme for the pictures. I'm like, okay, sorry. But since January 11th, I seen nothing, no post, I don't have idea of what is happening. So if you know, good. But that was one thing that the city was going to do. And I also wanted to talk about Sue Popescu that passed away last year now. And it's my understanding that the BC Winter Games are going to create a fund, an endowment fund.
Endowment fund?
Yeah, in her memory. So they will announce that later, I'm pretty sure of it. But yeah, that's a nice touch from BC Winter Games. So do you have the result for the gallery?
Yeah, so the She Said, He Said, She Said show is January 12th to February 6th. This year, and after that we will have another show which is yet to be announced, so we've got to get that going here soon. But yeah, people should come down and check it out while they can, and also we will have a link going up on Tuesday or Wednesday once it's come to me from the Art Federation, which will have the full recording of the digital opening that they had last week for everyone, if they want to check that out. And I believe they go into detail of each piece and a lot of the mediums in the process and talk with Sandy, Meep, and Mike. Man, memory gets hard when you're under pressure. Like, remember,
Pressure.
what are you talking about? It's just like pressure to, yeah, not the pressure of life, but just the pressure to not have dead air.
Well, editing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how radio people do it.
Honestly, it takes a special breed of person.
Well, I feel that's probably why, like, some people you either love a radio host or you hate them, because however they manage to keep the air going and not have dead air is either entertaining or annoying. There's no in between.
Yeah.
But anyways, I digress.
So, are we moving to the beyond the Peace region?
Yeah, like there's lots going on out there. I just kind of wanted to mention too, like, both kind of, I guess, like, beyond peace, but also it very much here as well. Like, one really positive thing that I've noticed with the lockdowns and everything like that is just the increase in creativity and people being passionate about things that they're interested in. And, you know, like, there's this, like, basically a renaissance of creativity, it feels like, but there's just a flooding of content online and in communities and stuff like that to learn things, whether it's through YouTube or Twitch or even like hopefully soon in-person workshops that we'd like to get going again and stuff like that. But it just feels like this is the right time. If there's something that you wanted to do, wanted to learn, like, this is it, because we don't really have many excuses. Or, I mean, if anyone else is like me, you've probably all, like, ran out of stuff to watch on Netflix. So it's like, why not learn something new and get creative and paint or draw or play music?
I deleted Netflix before it came to that point.
Oh wow! So you're saving it up. In a few months, you'll have a whole bunch. No, you're just
I
like
won't
cut
have
off.
time for Netflix for the next 5 years.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
I've got a plan.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've planned that far ahead.
Well, then if you're struggling and you need to be calm, you can call the 1-8772 BE calm, CALM. Figure out the number yourself. And get connected to a wide variety of calming sound, including children's laughter and joyful music.
No idea where you were going. This is awesome.
So that's
Love
an article from CBC News.
So it's just like, it's just nice, calming, like, narrated children's books or sounds, almost like ASMR.
Catherine Calder, Victoria's artist in residence and members of the band The New Photographers, was initially inspired by Provincial Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry's famous mantra. It started, of course, with Bonnie Henry saying to be calm, Calder said. And so she recorded sound, and now it's live all the time on that number.
Oh, that's awesome.
So by the way, what is it?
It's like dial-up meditation.
Yeah.
Before your exam, just pick up the phone.
So be
That's
calm,
cool.
20,
Well, that
yeah.
again, like, that's something that I feel like wouldn't have existed of like without all the log, like just like people finding interesting things to do with their time and like are finding, you know, a need for something and then filling that need, even if it's something as simple as a phone number where you can listen to calming sounds.
Yeah. Well, there's widespread anxiety, so
Yep.
Or you can call any government office and put on hold.
That's not very calming music.
That is not. I feel like it's designed to be like the opposite. It's like they want you to hang up.
You quit.
I was on hold yesterday, and it was only 6 minutes, so that's not very long for being on hold. But I was like, it was like this really weird techno music. And I'm like, goodbye. Like, I don't need my question answered that badly.
I have another one. That one is sad. Medicine Hat News told us in December 17th, so it's kind of a whole news now, but a local chainsaw artist has a piece with sentimental value stolen in Hope, BC. That poor lady, Michaela Cole, she had a beautiful sculpture made with a chainsaw, and that sculpture one night was stolen. I don't even know if they will retrieve it.
Where is Hope, BC?
So she says that she put 32 hours of work into that pieces. And so and basically stolen art industries, arts that are industry that are stolen are always infuriating. And actually it was a piece that was dedicated to her daughter. But yeah, when you think everything is fine, there is still hope in BC.
All right.
Yeah, Randy, go ahead.
Yeah. Bring it back up.
All right.
Let me know. Let us know.
In the U.S., California and New York, the governors, Gavin Newsom and Andrew Cuomo, I hope I'm saying that right, are putting towards a lot of money to revive the arts and culture in the States because, you know, COVID's been, especially California, they're known for arts and culture. And you can't have New York City without Broadway, so.
Did you realize you weren't recording?
I just hit my keyboard and I stopped recording.
Yeah, but when?
Just in the middle of your stuff. Don't worry, guys.
No, you're all good.
Okay, I figured that's what happened. So, not going to get into politics because it's going to easily get into that. But in California, there's $15 million to the California Arts Council for a statewide pilot program, and then there's $25 million dedicated to a grant program for small museums and theaters. Yeah, it's big. So their goal is to employ artists, and the same is for New York. They're doing a little bit differently. They're actually looking to host socially distanced performances in New York City.
That's hard to do in New York City.
Yeah, and I was like, what? They're working with the Mellon Foundation to distribute grants aimed at over 1,000 artists and funding community art groups. And what I thought was interesting is they're going to begin public-private partnership called New York Arts Revival to host pop-up concerts I was very surprised when I saw this with performers like Chris Rock, Hugh Jackman, and Renee Fleming. And I was like, with the travel restrictions and everything, I don't know how, but I thought it was interesting nonetheless. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think there's some accommodations being made with some things, with a lot of testing and stuff, like even like with hockey and stuff like that, to keep some form of media going, so we don't all go absolutely crazy. Yeah. But that's really cool. Yeah,
and because I'm kind of in the sport world, like a lot of the pro volleyball players, they're just like tested before every game.
Yeah.
But they still have their seasons. There's just no fans. And
So it's even like that, like watching hockey right now, because it just started last week, is so eerie and weird.
Yeah.
With just empty stadiums and stuff. But especially with like, I don't know, with any kind of more local sports like volleyball and stuff like that, if they add audio to like sound like fans, because they do that in the hockey games. They have fans cheering and stuff. So somebody's sitting at a computer trying to like do cheering, but they're doing it equally. They're not trying to like make it too biased and like booze and everything. So it'd be funny if somebody had that job for even like local sports and high school and college teams.
That is hilarious. Then all the way over in Germany, which I have 2 German topics, there's 2 vaccination centers that I know of that are functioning sort of as art exhibits. One has a variety of mediums, and it's also to help sell the pieces. And then the other is just, the show was meant for a local gallery, but he just brought his sculptures to the center because it's just a welcome distraction, and people otherwise not connected with art because they're just getting to get vaccinated. They may not have gone to a gallery.
Well, and even similar to here, like, I mean, we're open, and if the galleries there are open as well, they're still not going to see as much traffic as they would otherwise.
Yeah.
So why not help support the artists too in a way that puts it in a place that will have that traffic and get his art out there? Like that's really cool.
Yeah,
it's a really interesting way to kind of make the vaccination center more pleasant, but then also kind of help support the arts and stuff like that. That's really neat.
I thought that was very interesting, especially because like gallery shutdowns, like it's tough for people.
Oh yeah.
It's a welcome distraction. I read one of the patients there, they saw a sculpture, they're like, why is this worth I don't know the money in Germany, but say 300 when the materials to make it were less than 50. And I'm like, because they're not into art or anything. It's just funny to get people thinking about something they're not.
Well, exactly. And like a lot of people do wonder that. That's a very common question, I think, in any gallery or like art space or art classes and stuff. And really it comes down to the time invested in the skill to get it to that point. Because like anyone, can buy the material to make something like even a couch, right? Like you can buy it for way less than that couch costs, but it's really hard to make a couch. I've tried. Upholstery is awful. Like that's not fun. So like there's typically a justified reason for the cost of a lot of art, but it's still a matter of opinion a lot of the time, and always fun to argue.
Oh yeah. To the people who like aren't aesthetes, if that's how you say it, or like aren't interested in, because people when they make art, they give a piece of their experience to it, and people that are interested in that would pay money, but other people are like, why? Like that's such a, but it just depends on the person.
It's interesting too, because that same person who doesn't see the value in that art piece probably spends a lot of money on something that they're interested in or passionate
like
about,
sports.
that an artist would then look at and be like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like, like people who like ski or snowboard every weekend, like that's a crazy amount of money to do. Like, so if that's your thing, I mean.
But that's also why, so I remember going to galleries and museums when I was a kid, and even if I go to that exhibition right now, I will see pictures, I will see painting, sculpture, whatever. But the best one was the one where the artist was present and was talking about the picture, explaining what is happening, explaining. So on our YouTube channel, we have a couple interviews, and one with Frances Obi, who explained what she does with how she pictures the sky, or she will take a photograph, and after that, all the work that goes to that, and that also help for people that don't have education or knowledge of painting or arts in general. Will make, I understand that. That takes a lot of time. That takes which we can see with the she said, he said, she said exhibition, because you can see when you see the picture, you see it takes some time. But we all know, we all have example of modern sculpture or modern art that are kind of a joke sometimes when you have a couple drop of paint and it's a lot.
And like I went to art school in the early thousands in Calgary, and I'd say it's 50-50. Half of the time it's literally someone seeing what they can get away with and make stuff up, and other times it's somebody actually trying to do something. Like I know Picasso gets brought up a lot because of his young work when he was a teenager was very realistic and very, it was gorgeous compared to the stuff in his later years, which is, the cubism, the abstraction and stuff like that. And people are like, why did he get worse? And it's not that he got worse, his goal irrelevant of what people thought of him was to take shapes and people specifically, and how can I simplify them in, like, how far can I go simplifying them into these really weird abstract shapes and still have it look like a person and still communicate the same thing. So while it might not be as pretty for some people, knowing the process and the intention behind it does kind of make it make more sense. Because, like, yeah, if you don't know and you see a Picasso, like, and you had no idea he existed, you might just think like a 12-year-old was scribbling. But, like, if you know where it's from and understand what went into it, then you can understand the millions of dollars price tags, maybe.
And that brings me to my third topic, Max Beckham. A lot of his, I mean, I sent the website to Baptiste, I don't know if he'll put it up, but he has a really good self-portrait that's realistic. But if you look up Max Beckham and see his paintings, just horrifying imagery. And
they're
some of
disturbing.
it, some of it looks like it's not always proportional, it's not very completely realistic all the time. So like, oh, it's like you said with Picasso, like, what is that? But he has a catalog now, like the museum put a catalog out. It's called the Hamburg Kunsthalle. I don't speak German. And so there's 843 photographs of paintings on there, and there's like 5,000, can't find it on my note here, but there's just tons of information about like what he did. But yeah, he was classified as an expressionist, even though he rejected the term in the movement.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just very like full of social criticism, symbolism. It's crazy stuff, but he's considered one of the greats. So.
And you can see, like, even in what I was, on an initial Google search, like, you could see the skill and the attention to detail and the ability to paint realistically, and then where he chooses to get really weird and out there, and it's all deliberate and very strange.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of creepy background people in his work just staring strangely.
I find people like Max, he died just over 70 years ago, so I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but his work is going into public domain. Any artist in history I've seen who has a lot of social criticism, has paintings that are strange like that, and it's, I don't know, I think they're interesting, even though they can be hard to look at sometimes.
That you brought up something too that just unrelated to copyright and stuff like that specifically, but like, even for instance, like he only recently died, like 70 years ago now. But it's something that surprised me when I was in school to learn that even like Picasso died in 1973. Like, people don't realize a lot of these really famous artists aren't all from like the Renaissance and like, the time of Leonardo da Vinci. Like, a lot of them have been around much more recently, and it's just, I just thought that was really interesting and surprising. Like Andy Warhol and a lot of stuff, like it's in our lifetimes that these people have still been alive, which is crazy. To me, I guess neither. Maybe, I don't know how old you are, Baptiste. I guess neither were in my lifetime or your lifetime. But within reach of our lifetimes,
one of my
they're not
parents was
ancient.
born that year. So, this is kind of just branching off of that.
Myself a lot right now.
Just a comment. I find it so strange. Like, we have all these greats in our history, even if they were fairly recently.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder what the greats will look like in the future, because we have so many artists and so many platforms, and everything's shared. Globally.
Yeah,
so,
like everybody has a voice and an audience and a means to get your stuff to an audience now. It's like, who in 30 or 40 years is going to be who we look back at, like Picasso, and go like, oh wow, they were great? Because or at the time when Picasso was alive, were people like, oh my god, like from what I understand, it wasn't until after that he really kind of...
And that is often with great writers and poets, like they die and 100 years later, wow, this is good stuff.
So like maybe the Twitch stars of right now are going to be like the Picassos of 50 years from now with their Mario speedruns. But I think there's a lot of stuff there. Like there are a lot of amazing artists. It's just like, the focus on work for exhibitions and work for like painted work for marketing material and stuff like that has really taken a back seat to a lot of technology and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't think as many people see it as often, but like in the future, like there are many amazing artists doing work out there that there's just so much. It's so hard to see it all. So it'll be interesting to see who that is in like 30 to 40 years though.
Last word.
Last word.
I'm
Falafel.
all for Richard.
My last word is falafel.
Okay.
Well, no, I think like I just want to express that like people should let us know, I think, like that watch this, like what do they find interesting? What do they want to know more about creatively, locally, internationally? What interests them? That probably made a weird sound on the
Probably horrendous sound, yeah.
So I apologize if that hurt anybody's eardrums. But you know, like there's so much going on out there right now. So I mean, if you guys see anything interesting, share it with us, and we'd love to see it and kind of check it out and learn more about it. And I think that's what I want more than anything. I just want
So
to learn.
like my daughter would say when she take my phone and go to her bedroom and film things, subscribe, like, comment below. And go to Manon.
You gotta smash that like button.
Oh my goodness. Does she make you to share a YouTube channel?
She doesn't
No.
have a YouTube channel. She took my phone, went downstairs to her bedroom actually, and then she started a 12-minute long video about how to do a dog with a Lego.
Oh my
And at the end she's like, okay, subscribe and like it.
Oh,
It's
Like,
crazy. That's just, but it's
so
ingrained.
many kids do that.
It's just in pop culture now, right? Like even if they're not making a video, they're just used to that.
Yeah, and she doesn't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know what it is like? Yeah. No, just like my video. Yeah, but
That's so weird. That's a whole other topic in and
Yeah.
of itself, how it's like invading everything, but in positive ways and negative ways. It's
yeah,
interesting.
well,
Just
if
like
I can,
anything.
I'm going to put her at the end of the video. Subscribe, like, and subscribe.
Oh yes, if she has that as filmed, then you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
okay with that. That'd be
Well,
fantastic. I love it.
Okay, see you next month.
Bye.
Merci. Un pouce. Abonnez-vous.